I'm here to talk about housing affordability here in Tippecanoe County. And I am doing this by utilizing data, and we're going to talk about specific things. I am not saying that housing is affordable. I am not saying that housing is affordable for everyone. I'm interested in looking at data about housing affordability. Hey, this one actually might work. So we're going to start with looking at inventory by price. So far, we have had 251 homes on the market, a 32% year-over-year increase. 52 of those homes were priced under $250,000. That is an increase of 63% year-over-year. And 199, or about 80% or so, are $250,000 or above, an increase of 26%. Now that is not defining what's affordable. We're starting with looking at the data. We need to figure out how many homes are for sale and at what price points. We have to define what's affordable and what's not. Next up, new listings by price. And again, we're building a story here. We're going through a little bit of data to show what's out there in the market and is housing affordable here in the Greater Lafayette area. And this one is new listings by price. I believe that this is a 1 year look back. Hang on. This is the 12-month rolling total of listings. So this is looking back from right now to February of 2025. There have been 2,284 listings. That is up 11% over the previous 12 months. Of those, 630, or roughly 25%, were under $250,000, which was an increase of 3% over the previous year. And 1,654 were more than $250,000, or an increase of 14%. So what we're seeing here is that of the homes that are for sale, only about a quarter of them were under $250,000. Now, is $250,000 affordable? I'm not saying yes or no to that. I am merely saying that only about 25% were under that $250,000 mark, and all of the rest were above $250,000. Okay, so there are only 8 slides to this report, so we're going to get to our conclusions rather quickly, so stick with me. Closed sales by price. 12-month rolling total over the last 12 months as of February of 2026, 1,826, up 4% over the previous 12 months. But when we start talking about splits in price, in the category of $250,000 or under, we went down 4%. There were less homes under $250,000, but pretty close to flat. 4% is a relatively small change. But the remainder, 550, again, we're in that 20-25% range, or 70-75% for the remainder over $250,000. And that's $250,000 on up into the millions. Now, there are only ever a handful of houses for sales in Tippecanoe County that are above $1 million, but there are a handful, and there are quite a lot in the $500,000 to $800,000 range. But we're not interested in those specific splits right now. Moving on, we're going to start to look at how we actually define affordable, and is affordability something that exists here in the Greater Lafayette area. And we're going to look at the median monthly payment for a median priced home. The median monthly payment for a median priced home, median is the average, that is the middle of the set. So if you have 100 items in the set, it is the price that is attached to number 50. In January of 26, it was $2,126. Is that a lot of money? It is down 7% year over year. It was $2,288 the previous year, but we are 11% more expensive than the entire state, is at $1,920. I made the graphic too big. You can't really see it. Trust me. Trust me, he says. So now we're starting to get to defining affordability. Next, median sales price. This is the 3-month rolling median the median sales price. This is the halfway point of all homes that were sold. It's not the total, divide them by the set. This is the halfway point. It's definition of median. $288,000. What I was referring to earlier about will house prices ever go down? No, I hope that the increases will slow down a little bit. And indeed, basically flat. Minus 1% year over year. $290,000 last year. Just a $2,000 difference. But we're up 11% over the entire state. $260,000 if you look at the entire state. But when you look at the entire state, you're looking at a whole lot of rural areas. If you look at Lafayette versus Indianapolis, and we might do that one day just for funsies, you're going to find that Lafayette is indeed a whole lot cheaper. Come on, Geoff, get to it. Is housing affordable in Lafayette? We're getting to it. We're almost there. Building the story. Median household income. This is adjusted to current dollars. This is a little bit of lagging data because we are not just looking at sales that we can go pull out of the MLS and all of our sources. In January of 25, so a year ago, the median household income was $60,716, up 8% year over year, which was $56,102. But we're down 13% from the state, which had a median household income of basically $70,000, $24 less than $70,000. Now, median household income, some of you might be saying, $60,000? Huh, Geoff, you're crazy, and I'm nowhere close to that. That's the median. So if we take all of the people who had income in Tippecanoe County as of January 2025, the person in the middle made $60,000. So half of the people made less than $60,000 and the other half made more than $60,000. Now we're starting to define what affordable is and to who, right? Because if you make that $60,000 or more, you have a much higher chance of being able to say that housing is affordable for you here in the Greater Lafayette area. But if you're under that $60,000 median, the math probably gets a little bit harder. Here's how we start defining that, really. Payment as a percent of income. I talked to one of my friends who's in the mortgage industry. In addition to doing my normal research that I always do before I get on and talk about things, and then being a homeowner myself and being a realtor. And by the way, I am a realtor, so go to the LafayetteReal.com/YouTube and fill out the form and let's go look at some houses together. And I got a friend who can get you pre-approved as well. No financial arrangement there. Payment as a percentage of income. The guideline that I generally use, and my good friend Fahad also used, is about 30% is what you should be setting yourself up for when you go and buy a house, get a mortgage. Payment as a percentage of income in the real world in January 2026 in Tippecanoe County, 42%. Significantly higher than 30%. However, with the prices of housing continuously going up, that 30% definitely is a little more of a dream, a goal, something that you should aim for as opposed to a hard and fast rule. Because whether you're at 30% or 42%, or indeed in some cases 50%, you still want to be paying yourself for your home and perhaps not a landlord. And importantly, out of this number, we are down 7% year over year. The previous year, it was 45%. So incomes have gone up oh so slightly faster than the cost of housing has gone up. It's going to take a number of years of doing this to get back close to that 30% mark, but it ain't nothing. However, across the entire state, we are 28% higher. The entire state is only at 32.9%. So if you go buy somewhere else in Indiana, you might be able to only spend 33% of your income on housing. Now, is it somewhere you want to live? I don't know. Maybe not. Finally, affordable listings. Is housing affordable? This is what I have been driving to this entire time. Percent of listings in the last 90 days that are affordable to households earning $75,000. And that is with that target of spending 30% of your income on housing every month. Based on that, in January of 2026, only 34% of homes were affordable to those making at least $75,000. That means if you make less than $75,000, you cannot hit that 30% mark, or it is very hard to. You're going to be looking at higher percentages of income versus housing payment. You're going to be looking at high 30s percent, 40%, even 50%. That is up 16% year over year. Last year, it was only 29% of homes that were affordable to those making $75,000. Compared to the entire state, 47% of homes are affordable to those making $75,000. But how many places in the state can you make $75,000 if you live in one of the big rural areas? It might be a little bit harder. So for those of you that are making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, you're going to have to adjust your expectations. If you're making more than $75,000, it's fairly easy to find a home that only hits 30% of your monthly income. Now, what kind of home is that going to be? If you're making between $75,000 and $90,000, it may not be quite the home that you were dreaming of, may not be a luxury home. If you're making more than $100K, the options certainly start to open up. And if you'd like to learn what those options are, go to thelafayettereal.com/YouTube, fill out that form, and let's have a one-on-one conversation about housing and your needs, your income. I can hook you up with a mortgage loan officer who can talk you through all of these details. Go do that. Go hit the like and subscribe button. And don't forget that I'm Geoff Gooch with the Russell Company, powered by At Properties, and I'd love to be your local Lafayette real estate resource of choice. All my contact information is right here below. Don't miss all of the videos that we're going to put out on the Lafayette Real